What's up, people? How y'all doing out there? I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all some time to come in and let me check the cellular device um, to make sure that I'm live on YouTube and that I'm live on Facebook. And we're gonna go ahead and give it about 5 to 10 minutes. Miss Nicole is on her way. She's in Phoenix, and I told her one time, and we on Central Time, so um she's gonna be running a little late, but it's my fault. All right, it's my fault. So as soon as she get able to jump on, I'm gonna go ahead and cue her in. So let me go ahead and check and make sure that we live on YouTube and Facebook. Guys, look, on YouTube, as you come in, give us a thumbs up. Again, Miss Nicole is driving. I got the time zones mixed up, but she's gonna jump in the live as soon as she get home. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and give her about 10 minutes or so, and making sure that I'm live on. All right, so we live on here, live on YouTube. All right, people on YouTube, man, go ahead and put a 1 in the comment section if you're watching on YouTube. Put a 2 in the comment section if you're watching on Facebook. Once again, we're gonna go ahead and give you guys some time to come in here, and let me go ahead and check Facebook. I know that we are live on YouTube. Let me make sure that we're live on Facebook. All right, and yes, we are live on Facebook. So those of you that's on YouTube, do me a favor, please give me a thumbs up. What's up, Wayne? What's up, GoPro? Um, Give me a thumbs up. Those of you that's on YouTube, those that's on Facebook, give me a share. So if you're on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, just share the link. Again, once again, guys. So tonight we're going to talk about the benefits of CBD, and we have Nurse Practitioner Ms. Nicole Smith from Phoenix, Arizona. Once again, she's going to be running a little late because I got the time zones mixed up, but she's going to be here. So I want to establish some ground rules before we get started. The format is going to be simple. We are here to learn. Now, on YouTube, I have moderators. So on YouTube, my moderators, if anybody, is being, unruly or something like that, you have my permission to put them in timeout. If they are a repeat offender, you have my permission to boot them. All right. So once again, if you're on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and share. We want to give a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes or so, to allow everybody to come in. I know Central Time, guys, it's about that time for people to be knocking off on work. So open up your cellular device, your cell phones, your tablets, your laptops, your desktop, and come on in. Now, while we're waiting for Miss Nicole to get home, I want to give you the backstory and why I decided to do this. Now, those of you on YouTube, if you watched the morning shows when we was doing the early morning shows talking about finance, investment, and stuff like that, you already know that I'm the type of person. Yeah, GoPro, I got to give you a wrench, man. Let me see if I can get. I don't think I can give you a wrench from here. So next time I go live on YouTube, I'm going to give you a wrench, GoPro, Donnie. I thought you had one, man. I apologize for that. But I wanted to do this because, as I was sharing with you guys that used to watch the morning shows, that not only do you want to better yourself financially, but you absolutely have to take care of yourself physically. So what happened to me a few months ago is that I'm not gonna say a few months ago, because the process started like about a year ago. So that started there while we're waiting on Miss Nicole, and I'm gonna tell you guys how I got involved in CBD, and then she's gonna come on and tell you the potential benefits. Now, let me say this right here. If you have a medical question, we're going to have an opportunity in the show for you to ask that question. But please understand, she cannot diagnose you from a comment. She can give you her best medical advice based on that comment, but you have to see your primary. This is not a substitute for a doctor visit, but she could probably lead you down the right path. So let me start my journey. That way, when she come in, we don't have to repeat it. About a year ago, I was driving in a car and I began to have like some slight chest pains. And I thought it wasn't nothing. It was going to pass or whatever. Then I had trouble swallowing and breathing. Made it to the house, had the wife check me out, check my blood pressure. My blood pressure was high, was at the ER, and they ran all kind of tests and they couldn't find nothing. So I followed with my primary. My primary scheduled me visits with lung doctor, a visit with a heart doctor, and I was doing all of these tests, nuclear tests, stress tests, lung capacity tests, and they couldn't find anything wrong with me. Hey, Kizzy Gage, how you doing? They couldn't find anything wrong with me. So I continued to have these bad episodes, and then I had another episode, and they actually kept me in the hospital overnight for observations. And no one can figure out why I was having these crippling pains. No one can figure out why I was getting short of breath and stuff. And they send me home with all kind of medication and stuff. And I continue my testing. I continue my doctor visits. So over a period of a couple of months of, having all of those tests and everything coming back normal, coming back fine, I was getting frustrated. And so I finally was able to get a colonoscopy, but at the same time, I got a scope. All right. So I got a colonoscopy because my mom had colon cancer before. And so, they advised me to have it every 5 years. This was my first time having it. But while I was there, let's do a scope. So they did a colonoscopy. Everything came back okay. They did the scope, and they found something called H. pylori. And I think that's how you pronounce it. In the comment section, you could correct me if I'm wrong. How you doing, James Smith on YouTube? So that was I was happy I was diagnosed with something. H. pylori is a nasty stomach bacteria, and basically one of the ways to eradicate it is I had to take like three pills a day. What 3 pills 3 times a day for 14 days, antibiotics. And while all this was happening with me, my shoulder started hurting. So again, another doctor, heart doctor, a lung doctor, right? My primary doctor, a GI, and not orthopedic. And so what he said he believed is that I have what he called a slap tear. So it's basically a tendon, something that runs from around your forearm all the way to your shoulder. So I wasn't able to be in the gym, man. I wasn't like I wanted to. It wasn't, it was hard for me to put on deodorant in the morning. And I was taking ibuprofen, popping them like candy because I couldn't lift my arm almost. And so my primary was concern. I got all of these health issues, and now my primary concern. And I remember I worked with a young lady. Well, she was older than me. I worked with a lady, and she had arthritis, and she was saying that she was using CBD oil. And so I started doing my research and stuff, and I came across CBD oil. But then I came across Delta 8. And my next doctor visit, by the way, I left out in one of those doctor visits, I was actually diagnosed with diabetes type 2. So my A1C, I think that's the test you take, guys. My A1C to show my sugar levels, it was 6.9, right? When I was diagnosed with diabetes type 2, which runs in my family. My mom have it, my dad have it. And so all of this going on. So I had to talk with my primary about like, hey, look, you don't want me to take, what's up, James John? Yes, sir, man. I'm down like 20, James, I'm down like 20 some pounds, man. I'm gonna get into that too. So I diagnosed with diabetes, telling about my shoulder, had to talk about the CBD oil and stuff like that. Did my research on CBD, came across Delta 8, did my research on that. Thank you, Kizzy, on that also. And so my primary was like, look, try it. If it worked, then good. She's like, just make sure that it's not that synthetic stuff, right? Like synthetic stuff. So that I went. So what I did was I brought gummies, I brought oils, I brought tropicals. Tropicals are basically like creams. I brought tinctures, little drops you put underneath your tongue. I brought the flour. Flour is the buds you break down, you smoke. So I brought all of those different items from different companies, trying to see which product fits me, which product works best for me. And I'm here to tell you guys is that, like I just told James, is that since I've been using CBD products, I noticed that, hey, man, I'm a little bit more energetic. The inflammation in my shoulder is not there. Only time I have the inflammation in my shoulder when I wake up in the morning. And so I got a regimen to where I have like 3 to 4 sessions a day to where it's almost as if someone would take want to leave or take Tylenol every 4 hours. But I have 3 to 4 sessions a day, and I can go to the gym. I can move around. I'm motivated. I'm focused. I'm active. I don't feel my shoulder. Again, this has been my experience, and I have documented this. And those of you on YouTube, you guys know that I have documented this. So continue to take the CBD products, continue to notice the improvement in me while taking my medicine. And I noticed that when I would take my sugar would be low. My sugar would be low. And I was like, man, I'm taking 2 of these metformin pills, because that's what I would put on, metformin, 500 milligrams twice a day. I would take one in the morning and one before I go to bed at night. But when my sugar would get low, I would feel bad. So I kept taking it. I kept with my CBD regimen, and my sugar just, no lie, I got a glucose monitor that literally connects to my phone via Bluetooth to the app, and it records everything. And so I'm like, man, what's going on? So I went on Facebook one time and I showed everybody the numbers. Fast forward 3 months, I go back to my primary, my A1C went from 6.8 to 6.1. Now, not to get too technical, but diabetes is around, that 6 point, I think anything after over 6.5 or something like that. But my diabetes was 6.8, I mean 6.9, and it went down to 6.1, so it dropped like 8. So that's diabetes state to pre-diabetes state, and I didn't change anything. I didn't change my diet really, right? I didn't really change my workout regimen. Now I was able to do a little more in the gym because my shoulder wasn't bothering me as much, but it's still the same process. And so I became curious, and I started to do more research, and I reached out to Nicole, and I was like, Nicole, look, this is what I have going on. And she is telling me she believed that the CBD is helping me in these areas. So I asked her, I was like, look, when you get a chance, can you come on my show and show me or explain to me and my audience exactly the benefits of CBD? And she is absolutely perfect for this because she specializes in pain management. She have a clinic in Phoenix, Arizona. As I said earlier, that she's from Phoenix, Arizona, and she specialized in pain management and addictions. Man, one of the things she was telling me, and I hope I'm saying it correct, ketamine is what she administered to her patients to help them. And she could explain it much better than you. I mean, could explain it much better to you than I can. And so when she began to explain that to me and we began to converse, I was like, man, people have to know that this is out here. People have to know that they can get help from this. All right. So 1 second, guys. Let me just check in. Making sure that she's not trying to get in, making sure that her link works. So I'm curious before Nicole come in. I'm curious. Anyone in the comment section, anyone ever tried CBD products? Anyone ever tried any gummies, any vapes, any flowers? Anyone in the comment section? So I just want to know what brought you to this live. And those of you that's watching on the replay, you can also drop it in the comment section too. What brought you to this live? Do you use CBD? Are you looking to use CBD? Is there a certain ailment that you suffer with, knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain? Do you know someone that uses CBD products and you just want to know more? I know I have talked to people about my ailments, talked to people how I've been administering it to myself, sharing with them my results. And I was shocked, guys. I was shocked to find out. How you doing, Hank? I was shocked to find out that there's a lot of older people that's already using CBD. Now, I got to give this backstory also before she come in, is that when people see, and I think I have it right here. I might have. All right. So when people see, so I actually started, me and a couple of partners started a CBD company, and the name of the company is 4 King CBD. Now, the reason why I started the company was because the product was working for me. And if it's working for me, then I was like, hey, look, James Young, I tried that all tech. I use CBD for headaches and back pain. So if it's working for me, I was like, hey, let me go ahead and see if I can, put together a business model, which was separate and apart a whole nother research. But I digress. When you get the flower, it's gonna look like this, right? And I probably need to give you guys another camera view because the light is not gonna let me do that. Let me see if I can show you guys this right here, right quick. Let me see if I can do it. If I can pull up another camera. All right, so if you can see that, so if you look at that, right, the first thing people tell me is like, hey man, that's weed. The first thing people say is that's weed, and it's like, how is it legal for you to sell it? And two things: this is a hemp flower, so this is not weed, and this particular strand is Gorilla Glue, and it have Delta 8 THC. Here's the education part. That way we can get this out the way. Delta 8 forms a double the bind on the 8 carbon. Delta 9 forms the double bind on the 9 carbon. Delta 9 is what we consider. Delta 9 THC is what scientists and physicians consider weed, marijuana, right? Mary Jane, that's Delta 9. Delta 8 have some of the same benefits of Delta 9, but it doesn't have that cycle manifestation coming through. So whenever you smoking weed, Delta 9, you get more of a head high, you get more of sometimes you get paranoia or whatever. It just depends on what strain you're smoking, indica, or if you're smoking a sativa, right? So Delta 8 is not as potent. And one of the things that we say with Delta 8 is that if you don't want to be a stoner, you want to just help your ailments, then look into Delta 8 instead of Delta 9, because Delta 9 is the real deal. Delta 8 is legal because of the 2018 Farm Bill, which allow all hemp-derived products, it now make them legal. So how we doing right there today, young lady?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. And I apologize for getting the times wrong. I know what you see. I'm gonna kill Donald. I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah, yeah, it is
you,
4:19. It is 4:19. We were scheduled for 5, but that's okay. I'm here.
you didn't post all out to your people and everything.
Right. That's okay. They can replay it.
Yeah.
Luckily they can replay it.
So I was just, of course, I went ahead and got my story out the way before you
Okay.
came on, and I just explained to them the legalities of hemp derived products because of the 2018 Farm Bill. Eddie, you right? It have to have less than 0.03%
03.
THC
Right.
Delta 9, but um Delta 8, remember, do have THC. I don't want to
Yes.
butcher the acronym THC, but I know it's Trexol, whatever, So
Oh
it's a
God.
long name.
Oh God. So you're gonna put me on the spot and have me butcher it too. That's why
No,
we
no,
call
no, no,
it.
no, no, no. I would just want to try to like give
That's
people
how
as
why
much.
we butcher it. We butcher it as well. We call it just THC too. It's let me look, don't have me mess it up as well, but yeah, THC, because I'll butcher it too. So I don't want
So
to mess that up. Don't embarrass me on here with that
I'm not.
name
I'm
because
not.
I'll
That's
mess
not.
it up.
That's not my intention at all.
I
So all right,
always do it.
that's the best story, guys. So let me give you a proper introduction. I apologize. So welcome to the show, guys. Nurse Practitioner Ms. Nicole Smith.
Yes, Nicole
So,
Smith.
so
Nicole
Nicole, once again,
Smith.
thank you for coming on the show. I already explained to them that I
No
wanted to
problem.
get you on the show because the health things that was happening to me, and I began to
Hmm.
share with you the benefits that I was receiving from it. Now, guys,
Yeah.
me and Nicole go way back, man. When I tell you, man, like, hey, look. And I tell you, way back, I remember when Barack Obama, President Obama, won his
Mhm.
election, he was cutting up. She in
Yeah.
Phoenix, Arizona, me in Thibodaux, Louisiana, on the phone cutting up. Like
Hmm.
a lot of highlights, a lot of memories. I absolutely love her
Yeah.
mom. This is one of my good friends. And you know what happened as life goes on, people go their separate ways, but we always committed that, hey, no matter what, I ride for you, you ride for me. And I thank you for taking time out your schedule. I know you're putting together your clinic to be here with us. So
Yeah.
there you go. Go ahead and tell the people a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, I've been a nurse for, oh gosh, you got me gonna tell my age. So about 16, 17 years now. My background is critical care. I've been a nurse practitioner for about 4 years now. And as far as a nurse practitioner, my background is ketamine, mental health, and pain management. So, since I've been a nurse practitioner and been a provider, my background is solely mental health, depression, anxiety, PTSD, chronic pain syndrome, things of that nature as an actual provider. But I have a strong background in critical care, so that's
So
my background. Yeah.
I remember I believe you was working in the emergency room
Hmm.
when I first met you, and I could imagine that you probably seen some of everything in and out the emergency in and out the ER.
Yeah, for sure. Everything, everything, literally. Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about ketamine, because I really want the people to understand exactly what you do and the passion, why you have that passion to do that. And also, if y'all ever in Phoenix, Arizona, man, before she leave out, man, she let y'all know how y'all can get in touch with her. But yeah, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about the science of what you do.
Okay, but first I want to go ahead and clarify this THC. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pronounce it. It's tetrahydrocannabinol. That's what THC is. I got it. It just took
You
a minute.
got it.
I had to gather myself. I'm barely getting my caffeine. I'm like, let me get my mind just for us
I did you
medical.
wrong. Huh? I did
Yeah,
you so wrong.
just for us medical experts out there, I had to let you know that I do know. But when you put me on the spot, I got to be like, wait, let me get my caffeine brain together. But for you medical experts out there, I have to stand up for us. But I can't pronounce that word. It just took me a minute. I had to get
Thank
it
you,
together.
ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. But as far as ketamine, ketamine is an anesthetic originally. They were using it back in 1960s, 1970s for anesthetic. Initially, it had a lot of negativity as a tranquilizer for animals, which that's really not what it's for. I mean, all medications for humans, they use it for animals as well. The reason that they were using that medication and had that bad stigma was because it did not depress the respiratory system. So, of course, they would want to use that type of medication on a large animal because they don't want to intubate that type of large animal. They don't want to stick a tube down that animal's throat if they don't have to. If they can knock that animal out without having to, you know, put something down its throat to help it breathe, of course, that would be the drug of choice. But that's why it had a negative stigma. But in more recent years, they found that using ketamine would help people with depression and anxiety and PTSD and even chronic pain. Neuropathy was the first pain that they noticed that low dose ketamine, and when I say low dose, I'm talking sub anesthetic, and sub anesthetic means that doses that are used that are lower than what you would use for anesthesia. So when they found that using low anesthetic doses was helping people with chronic pain, PTSD, depression, and things of that nature, that's when they started using it for, you know, depression, PTSD, chronic pain, et cetera, et cetera. And when they started doing these double blind studies, which is meaning again, double blind studies is studies with placebo, which is not a medication, versus ketamine, and not telling the people that you're getting ketamine or you're not getting ketamine, and then giving surveys to see does this medication really work? And they're finding out that, yes, absolutely, ketamine was absolutely changing people's mood. People were a lot happier. Depression scores were going down. Anxiety scores were going down. Chronic pain scores were going down. So I decided after, recent years that I wanted to get involved because I have a passion for mental health. So I decided to get into the ketamine infusion business. And when I tell you, I would see people come in completely depressed, veterans coming in, PTSD, suffering from PTSD, coming in one way. And after their infusions, a whole nother different way, 180. My passion, I just strive to continue infusing with ketamine. So that's kind of like why I'm stuck here and continuing to grow on my business in ketamine infusion, because it makes a huge difference. It opens those neural pathways, and it just sparks new connections. It creates new pathways in the brain. Like with your typical antidepressants, like your say your antidepressant medication, when you take those medications, they're great. Don't get me wrong. I always suggest people to take those medications because it works in conjunction greatly with those medications. But when you take those medications, you have to take them for 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks. And it just kind of shakes up, you know, the serotonin, the norepi, and different, neurotransmitters in the brain, in hopes that when everything settles, you'll be feeling better. With ketamine, it kind of gets down to the meat and potatoes of the receptors, and you kind of 24 hours, sometimes after the fifth infusion, you notice improvement right then. So it's really quickly, it opens those neural pathways and those connections rather quickly. So that's the
And you
benefit of ketamine.
administer that orally or?
IV,
All
IV.
right, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And how long is that process? So if someone was to walk in there, what was, and say, look, I seen you on Taking the Bathroom show. I'm in the Phoenix area. I suffer with this. I mean, what's the first thing they need to do to get started with the process? I'm assuming you would have to examine them first.
Yeah, yeah. Usually what you would do is, usually you would call my office, and we'll have you, I will request your medical records, because I would want to know if you're a good candidate, because everyone is not a good candidate for ketamine. Um, if you've suffered a stroke recently, just because ketamine could, temporary increase the blood pressure. It could, you know, um, increase pressure in the body in general. Like if you have glaucoma, high blood pressure that's uncontrolled, um, recent cardiac issues, things like that. Is certain things that would disqualify you from getting ketamine. So I would like to see, your medical records, or if you have certain mental illnesses that ketamine could induce you into a psychiatric emergency. Of course, I wouldn't want to do anything that would cause any harm to you. So I will make sure I'm looking at your medical records to make sure you are a good candidate for ketamine infusion. And then you'll come in, and then I'll examine you, have a consultation, and then, you'll get your first infusion there. You'll get a series of 6 infusions over 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it have to be gratifying watching someone come in looking as I probably did it when I first went into the doctor. I mean, guys, look, when your body begins to turn on you, it's a scary thing, right?
Oh
Not,
yeah.
not knowing what's going on with you, and sometimes not having control of your body. In my case, so thank you for sharing that. I know your time is valuable, so I don't want to hold you too long, but I really want to get into the CBD thing. So before I even ask the questions, those people that just coming in, I had shoulder issues. I had bacteria in my stomach. I was diagnosed with diabetes type 2. So I was all messed up, right? And so I started taking the CBD products for my shoulder, and you told me a term whenever I was explaining it to you, and you said, and I told you, I said, I don't know why, but for me, I don't like taking gummies and stuff because you got to really dose it right. I don't, I feel like some of the other stuff, it might not work as fast. I said I prefer to smoke the flower, and you use the term, and I've been saying it ever since. You was like, well, basically it's bioavailability. Can you explain it a little more before we get into what bioavailability is, before we get into it?
Yeah, so when we spoke, it's like you have this thing I like to call like a first pass system, and that's connected with bioavailability as well. When the way you consume a medication depends on how much of the actual medication that you receive. So, for instance, if you take a medication by mouth, it has to go through something that's called the first pass system, which means that it has to go through your mouth first. Once it goes through your mouth, down your esophagus, into your stomach, you lose some of that medication. You lose some of that potency of that medication. Now it has to go from your stomach to your intestines. Through that process, you lose some more of that medication. Now it has to go through the liver. Now you lose more of that medication. Then now it goes to the bloodstream. Now that's your bioavailability. That's the dose that you truly get of that medication. Versus, say, if you get IV, IV is 100% bioavailability. It goes directly from the medication to the bloodstream. That's 100% bioavailability. The mouth, the gummies starts out at 100%, but by the time you get it, you probably get about 35% bioavailability because the body has taken away, however much by the time you gotten it. So that's what I was explaining to you.
And in that process, the reason why I take gummies and stuff like that you take orally, it takes them longer to work because they have to go through those different stages, right?
Right,
And so
absolutely.
when you smoke the flower, my research is that your body almost immediately begins to absorb
Mm-hmm.
those cannabinoids, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier quicker. Now I can honestly say within 5 to 10 minutes in a session, I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
the effects. It depends on the strain, but I'm feeling the effects. And for me personally, I I feel like I have more control, because if you take a gummy, right,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
all gummies are not created equal, once that's in your bloodstream, for some reason, man, to me, it feel like if you don't dose it right, it feel like it's more potent and it feel like it lasts longer.
Yeah. When you smoke it?
No, whenever you eat a gummy,
Okay.
it feel like if it takes a while for it to hit, but when it do hit, it seems like it's more important and feel like
Mm-hmm.
it lasts longer. And it could be because of the different stages that have to go through. The potency of the gummy have to probably be a certain potency, because they know that you're losing a lot of it during that breakdown stage. But
Yeah, and then it
you
also
know,
depends on like the motility like of your intestines. How how fast your intestines are moving, how fast your stomach is emptying, you're delayed, emptying. If your bowels, if you hear your stomach, rumbling, if your bowel sounds are really fast, if you're delaying, you know, quickly getting rid of that gummy quickly, then you'll feel it faster. If your bowel sounds are a little more slower, it'll be a slower process. So it just depends on, the motility of your intestines as well. So how fast is getting rid of that gummy.
that's absolutely amazing. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you shared that with us. I did not
Hmm.
know that, and I think that's some good
Yeah.
information to have. Is that um you can literally take a gummy with someone and it can hit you different than the person on side of you. Wow.
Yeah. And then you also got to think about, what did you eat? What else is in your belly? Did you eat it on an empty stomach? Did you eat it with something? What did you eat? Did you eat crackers that day, or did you eat something light? Did you eat something heavy? That gummy has to travel through all of that to get, all of that makes a difference of how fast it affects you.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
did
so
I did a video on Facebook a couple of days ago. It's about 8 minutes, and I kind of shared it earlier as you was coming in about the legality of hemp derived products.
mhm,
But the reason why I wanted to have you on, because as I'm educating people, I noticed, especially the older people, they see this, that's weed. I'm like, nah, it's a process. It's just one of the bioavailability methods to get the medicine into your body for medicinal purposes. Okay, but a lot of people are still afraid, and one of the things that I do is I have people look up common medicines. I tell them to go to the poison control. I think it's poisoncontrol.org or .gov. Go to the Center for Disease and Control and just look up different medicines, and then do your research and see the adverse effects of CBD, Delta 8, or whatever. And that brings me to this question here. How does it works in your body? How do CBD, Delta 8, cannabinoids, how do it work in your body?
Okay. Well, real quick, I do want to put out a disclaimer to say that the information that is provided by me is for information and educational purposes only. And I do want to make sure that it's not, you guys know that it's not for the replacement of medical advice from your own personal doctor. Okay. So want to put that out first. Okay. So basically, CBD, the way that CBD works in the body and Delta 8 is similar in some ways, but the way that it works is by connecting to the endocannabinoid system. We have an endocannabinoid system in our body that works as like a bridge to the brain and the central nervous system, which means like the brain, pain receptors in the body, different anxiety, depression, and things like that, in a way specifically that CBD will work in the body is that it will connect to the endocannabinoid system. Well, not directly connect, but indirectly connect the same way that antidepressants would connect to the body as like a reuptake to make sure that it's not destroying the rest of the endocannabinoid system. And it works by kind of protecting the endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system makes sure that it keeps the body in a, let's say, I like to put it as a balanced state. So sometimes when you're like super anxious, when you're like super, I don't know, is my camera on? I'm sorry. Looks
No, you're
like,
good. You're good. I just highlighted you.
oh, okay. I'm like, what just,
I'm
I'm
right
like,
here. I'm right here.
yeah.
Just
I'm like,
highlighted you.
what just happened? Yeah. So anyway, CBD it acts as like as a reuptake. So it doesn't necessarily connect to the endocannabinoid receptors, but acts as a reuptake. Like I said, antidepressants would act to make sure that it protects what endocannabinoids that we have left in the body, which it protects it and it helps with the anxiety, helps with the depression portion of it, the body, helps with the anti-inflammatory system, helps with pain receptors and things of that nature. And it doesn't cause the psychoactive portion because it doesn't connect to the receptors. Delta 8 THC does connect to the receptors in the endocannabinoid system, and it does cause those psychoactive effects. And being that it causes the psychoactive effects, it gives you that buzz, it gives you that high feeling, but a mild high feeling because it's not the Delta 9 THC, which we know as, the marijuana portion of it, which causes the really high anxiety, paranoia, feelings of marijuana that people usually have. But with the Delta 8 versus the CBD, you would get that psychoactive version plus the anti-inflammatory. So you get a little bit better pain relief with that Delta 8 versus the CBD. But if you're not looking for that high feeling of that Delta 8 THC, the CBD is, your best option. But it basically, both medications work in the body, connecting to that endocannabinoid system, responding to that, kind of adhering to receptor sites, getting on those receptor sites, decreasing inflammatory, decreasing anxiety, decreasing depression, increasing appetite, getting on those opioids as opioid receptor sites as well. Helps with focusing, helps with mental clarity, helps with bowel functions, increases, it does so many different things. The stress hormone levels. I mean, it's so many things that CBD does. I can keep going on and on and on. It's amazing. Both drugs are completely amazing. It's just whether you want the psychoactive portion of it or you don't. You know, it's kind of, that's where you are with choosing Delta 8 or CBD.
So the one of the ways that I say I wanted to start describing it to people is Dayquil and NyQuil. Right. That's how I want to start describing Delta 8 and CBD to people is Dayquil and NyQuil. I'm a big baby. When I'm sick, I don't want to be, you know, people take Dayquil, they're like, I'm a soldier, I'm gonna push on through. No, when I'm not feeling good, I just want to chill. You know, I'm not gonna take Dayquil and go sit at the desk for 8 hours. No, I'm calling in. Well, I gotta call myself, but I'm calling in, you know, I'm not doing it. And so that's how I explain Delta 8 compared to CBD, because you're right, you're getting some of the same benefits, but with the Delta 8, you're getting like that buzz. And for me, the pain relief portion of it does wonders for my shoulder.
Right. I like to look at with Delta 8. So I like to look at with CBD with pain relief. If you're at a pain level of, say, 1 to 7 out of 10 being the worst pain you ever experienced, I say CBD is the way to go if you're not looking for any psychoactive effects or you don't want THC in your system for any drug tests or anything like that. 1 to 7 CBD, 7 to 8 or above, you want to go with Delta 8, because Delta 8, what it does is, yes, it decreases the inflammatory process, but it also works on the brain and makes you not even care about being in pain. It just takes your brain away from, I don't even care that I'm in pain at this point.
So that's why that's why I'm in the gym like that now.
Right. That's the addition that Delta 8 does. Your mind is separated from the pain as well, along with the anti-inflammatory process. That's why it gives you that boost of pain relief.
And let me just say this too. I'm glad you brought that up. And once again, just to reiterate what she said earlier, is that this is why it's important that you talk to your primary, right? And if you have a bunch of specialists like I do, if you have if you have a heart doctor, a lung doctor, orthopedic, you know, talk to your primary, talk to your physicians. Remember, your health is a team sport. It takes a team to keep us up and running. I learned that firsthand. And so what she just said is that separating from that pain, which allowed me to do a little bit more in the gym now. If I had an injury that I can injure farther, right, it probably could work against it, right? I can actually be hurting myself more if I didn't have that talk with my physician and knew that, hey, it's not going to get any worse, but here are your options. At 43, I'm not looking for shoulder surgery.
Right. And the most important reason for me, particularly as a provider, is CBD has a lot of interactions to medication, because like I explained earlier when I said it doesn't necessarily connect to the receptors, but it acts as a reuptake, similarly to how some antidepressants work as a reuptake with serotonin and things like that, like antidepressants. It acts the same as antidepressants in a similar fashion. So it kind of has that interactions with a lot of antidepressants. So you don't want to be taking certain antidepressants and consuming CBD at the same time. So it's very important. And sometimes, you know, it can act as, you know, it interacts with blood thinning medication as well, depending on the dosages that you're taking. So it's very important, you know, that doctor, if you're going to be, you know, consuming CBD.
Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. If you can hear me, shake your head.
I can't. I think we cut out a little bit. I can't hear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I can't stress it enough. It's important that you talk to your primary, talk to your physician. And I know there's a lot of stigmas. Guys, look, I'm very active in the community, right? I'm a very visible person. I'm an elder in the church. I know how it looks, right? I know the stigma that's associated with it. That's why I'm doing this educational piece, because when I begin to look at my options for my shoulder, none of them was good options in the long term as related to like my liver or kidney or whatever, you know. So when I ask you about what does it does to the body, what is, besides the interaction, potential negative interactions of the medicines, how safe is these products?
Oh, they are. CBD is very safe. CBD is very safe. There has the WHO, which is one of the primary, companies that we look at for safety. Um,
And WHO, that's
they
World Health Organization.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Well, that boy
They
smart. Yeah.
posted,
That boy smart,
yeah,
y'all. That boy smart,
that
y'all.
boy, yeah, yeah, yeah. They haven't found, they even posted, they wrote a statement that showed that there were no linked health issues or dependencies linked to CBD. So CBD is very, very, very safe. THC as well has been shown to be very safe as well. It does have some side effects, but it hasn't shown any reported deaths, and it also hasn't shown a
I
huge
need you to
dependency
say
as
that
well.
again, because that's the thing. People think that we're going to give them something that they're going to die from. That's the point I was leading up to. Have there ever been in the history of any cannabinoids? Have there ever been any deaths?
Okay, so there has not been any deaths.
Causation.
There's been a alleged one alleged death in 2019 in Louisiana that they're still trying to figure out if it's from a vape, THC pen, or if it's from respiratory depression or respiratory distress. Um, but they have not found enough THC in the system to definitively say that it's from that vape pen. But that was the last thing that she consumed.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
still in the air and it's alleged.
But this has
But
been
that's
around for this have been around for thousands of years, and modern
right.
medicine has been around for a few hundred years, right? So,
Right.
I mean, nothing is 100%. But as far as my knowledge is just what you just shared, there
It
haven't
is.
been a,
It
because
is.
it just
No.
doesn't work on your respiratory system like an
No.
opioid, right? So what's the difference between
Correct.
an opioid and CBD or something, or any cannabinoid, THC,
Oh.
Delta 9 or Delta 8, and the opioid? What's the difference?
Oh, it's a huge difference. They work on different receptor sites. Opioids decreases the respiratory. It works on the respiratory system. It works on depresses the cardiac system. THC doesn't depress the cardiac system. It could increase the heart rate more so. Opioids decrease the heart rate. Opioids also decrease the respiratory rate. Um, Opioids interact with more medications than THC. Opioids are more addictive than THC. Um, Opioids, can be laced a lot of times with different types of medication, fentanyl, and things like that. It's just, and now we have an opioid crisis. We don't have a THC crisis. We have an opioid crisis, you know. So it's just much more dangerous than THC.
And
There's much more
and
dangerous.
this is the obvious question, but there have been, unfortunately, many people that have died from opioids. And those that might be watching this live on the replay, if there's any examples you can give them of what opioids are, like some medicines that might be considered an opioid.
Yeah, absolutely. Medications like oxycodone, hydrocodone, Vicodins, Percocets. You have what is it? What other medications could be that's common? Fentanyl, and how this new fentanyl laced everything. People are
Yeah.
lacing it with everything. Uh, Buprenorphine. It's oh god, it's so many morphine, Dilaudid. There's there's so many different opioid medications out there.
So if I probably would go through with a shoulder surgery, for example, they probably sending me home with some type of opioid to manage with pain for a while, right?
Right. Correct.
And it's been my experience as a former athlete, guys. I use the word former, but I think I still can run with the best of them. You know, I might can't play a full quarter, but I got you, coach, for the first 3 minutes. I got you. So it's been my experience is that whenever I had injuries in the past, I would get like some pain medicine or whatever, and now back in the days they would just sprain ankle, they give it to you like it was candy, right? And then as the laws began to change, it became harder, and so I remember I had surgery on my ear, and I remember them giving me pain medicine or whatever. But after a certain time, the doctor's like, "Look, I'm not giving you any more pain medicine. Start using over the counter stuff, even if your pain levels haven't increased." This my opinion, guys. I can't state this as fact. I'm assuming that he's probably got a limit. Somebody's counting how many prescriptions he or she is writing, right?
Oh yeah,
because they don't want to be labeled as a pill passer.
Right. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's one of the things. So another thing. So again, not only opioids, I was using over the counter drugs, and my primary is like, look, taking 4 ibuprofens every couple of hours is not a good idea. There's even some over the counter drugs that we use for pain management that might not be as healthy as CBD or THC, Delta 8 or Delta 9. That was a question. I know I said it as a statement.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch that.
So over the counter medicines, some of them might have more harmful impacts than the CBD in Delta 8 or even Delta 9.
Yeah, in a way, because you have, even your standard Tylenol or your ibuprofen. If those are used too much, especially in older people or people with intestinal issues, stomach ulcers, things like that. Tylenol can damage the liver if taken too much. Say you're in pain, but all you have is Tylenol to take, and you're just taking Tylenol constantly every 4 hours, every 4 hours, every 4 hours, or Advil, round the clock, round the clock, round the clock. You're doing cardiac damage. You're doing intestinal damage with these ibuprofen medications. With Tylenol, you're doing liver damage if you're constantly taking it, because these meds are excreted through your liver or your kidney, and then ibuprofen is an NSAID, so thinning your blood, you're causing cardiac issues, increasing your blood pressure, causing ulcers, thinning the stomach lining, and things like that. So yeah, if that's all a person have access to, and all they can do is take those medications round the clock, absolutely, they're causing damage quickly at that.
So they are primarily meant for temporary fixes.
Right.
If you read the bottles, it usually have a certain amount of days you can use it for, but they always, if I remember correctly, they usually have a disclaimer that hey, discontinue use after so many days. See your physician, whatever, right?
Yes, because they don't want you continuing to take it because it does that damage. Because technically you can take 4 grams of Tylenol within a 24-hour period. But when a person is hurting, they're just popping them, not even counting any
That's how it
amount of
was.
doses.
Like when I felt the pain coming back, pop,
Yeah.
and
You're not
my
counting anything,
my primary is like, no, this is
Right.
what we're not doing.
Right.
So,
Right. And then that just lets us know there's a bigger problem going on. If you're needing this Tylenol around the clock like that, that gives us, a clue that, hey, there's something deeper going on than a minor ache and pain. That's why that bottle says notify, your primary care, because something else going on in a minor ache.
Yeah. So, again, I want to be respectful of your time. So many questions, but I have to organize my thoughts. So many people say, well, I have this, I have that. Can these products help me with this? And can it? And the answer is that I'm not a physician, even though you are in the medical field, you're a nurse practitioner. I know that you can't make judgments on everyone just from comments or conversations or whatever. But But I can say this is that there has been a change in me. Why do you think my sugar numbers begin to go down so drastically? I went from being diagnosed as a diabetic, and within 3 months, the only thing I changed was introducing CBD products, and now I'm at a pre-diabetic stage.
Okay, that's because remember how earlier I was explaining how, CBD or delta 8, THC combined, it connects to the receptor sites in the body.
Yes.
So we'll start off by explaining how the pancreas is what controls your blood glucose in your body. If your blood sugar is too high, the pancreas will kind of release insulin to make the blood sugar low. Or if the blood sugar is too low, it'll release glucagon. Okay, so what CBD or THC does is connect to those receptor sites in the pancreas. And when that happens, it helps modulate the blood sugar. And it helps and it creates that hemostasis, that balance in the body to say, hey, our blood sugar is crazy. Get on those receptor sites and let's make it regular again. So that's what happened with you.
Wow.
They connected to those receptor sites and made it right.
And so,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing the energy is probably just the different strains I use. It's like a sativa, giving more energy.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned clarity, focus, and stuff like that. And so,
Yeah.
I feel more energetic. Um, the weight loss, like somebody posted, oh, it give you the munchies. GoPro Dynasty THC increases consumptions of snacks. So sometimes
Yeah.
when I take Delta 8, sometimes I do have the munchies. I just eat sweets or whatever. But I seen a dramatic drop in my weight from the past couple of months. Literally,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I used to like to do is bulk up, to lift heavy and stuff like that. And then it's always a struggle coming back down. And whenever I hurt my shoulder, I suffered coming back down, cutting that weight more because I couldn't keep up the same routines. So I struggle with that. But now I found, like, since I've been using CBD products, man, I'm down 23, 25 pounds in the last 3 months. And again,
Yeah.
keeping my same routine just about.
That all depends on the dose. It's dose related because if you're at a lower dose of delta 8, you can have weight loss. It can decrease your appetite versus if you have too much delta 8 THC, you will have increased appetite. Just like if you were to have just delta 9, you're automatically going to have that increased appetite. Or if you take too much CBD, believe it or not, you'll have an increased appetite. So you can take too much of it and it'll give you that opposite effect. So it's all about dose. It's all about dose.
And I'm glad you brought that up, guys. Is that, if again, what Miss Nicole said earlier, is that in T-Rex, I'm gonna come back to your HAC question. What Nicole said earlier is that you have to have a conversation with your primary to see if it's going to impact anything that you might already been prescribed. And also, dosing is very important. Like, one of the things I have to learn is that all CBD products and all Delta 8 products are not created equal. If you don't remember anything as related from my mouth, coming out of my mouth, just remember sativa and just remember indica. Indica is like in the couch feeling, like relaxed feeling. That's a strain. And sativa is more like an active feeling, focus, clarity feeling. So I, like me, this vape right here, this vape is Delta 8. I think it's grape. And uh I take like a couple of hits of this before I go into the gym, because this is a sativa, man. And it does give me that focus. It give me, you know, it's hard to explain. It's like when I used to take pre-workouts. I stopped taking pre-workouts because my heart was getting too jittery. I felt like it. And so I feel like the sativa do the same thing as a pre-workout without that racing of my heart or whatever. But it goes back to knowing your body and doses. And when you buy something, look at the levels of Delta 8. Some of these things might have 15%, right? Some might have 8%. It might have 21% CBD, 15% Delta 8. So know what you're putting into your body. Now, The last question I'm going to ask before we open up to the comment section is it's a combo question. Do your patients use CBD products, and then the second part of that, do you recommend it to them?
Yes, my patients do use CBD products. A lot of topical CBDs and the tinctures is a lot of the products that they use, and I do recommend I recommend both the tincture and the topical together. So, and usually especially when I'm hitting a point where they need that in between pain management. Say, for instance, if, they've just gotten an infusion and they're saying, about mid infusion, 10 days, whatever the case, still having pain. That's when my pain is coming back. Can't get another infusion until 4 or 5 days later. What can I do? And I'll recommend, hey, put some CBD oil, use a little tincture, and it works great. Or with my depressed patients, tincture.
So
The
the tropical
drops.
guys is that I think I mentioned it earlier, but if I didn't, I'm going to repeat it. Is that tropical is like an all or cream, right? So that's what they call tropicals or whatever. Tinctures are
Topical,
like
yeah.
little droplets you put underneath your tongue,
Hmm.
and that helps to get into, I guess, the bloodstream also quicker. So I feel like tinctures work faster than like if I eat a gummy.
Oh yeah, for sure. For
Okay,
sure.
um,
Yeah.
that's a question for offline because I'm about to say why is that, but
Oh, that's because with the gummies, you kind of gotta chew it, swallow it, go under the tongue. It's just kind of going right. It's dissolving. It's
all right.
liquid already. It's dissolving and it's going into the vessels underneath the tongue, and it's kind of dissipating right away.
Well,
Yeah.
that thing kind of sensical. I probably should have thought of that question before I asked it because it's already in liquid form. The body don't have to break it down. Um,
Right.
I think that's all the questions I give to you to ask. If there's any questions in the comment section, I want to go back to this question. T reacts. What about HAC? HAC is a cannabinoid. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I forget the name of it, but it's something like cannabinoid or whatever. So HAC is not really natural. So delta 8 is naturally occurring in the hemp plant, right? So it's natural. What they do is they extract it from the CBD. They extract delta 8 from the CBD. Think of it like concentrated on grape juice, right? So they extract it, they make it concentrated. So they might take a whole bunch of plants, get a whole bunch of juice to get that potency, juice, distillate. That's how they say it. HAC is actually they actually add something to, I want to say, CBD or delta 8. They add acetone to it, and whenever the acetone get added to it, it kind of like hydrogenated, right? It hydrogenates it, and so that's how you get like HAC. So it stands for like something like hydrogenated whatever cannabinoids or whatever. So that's more of, even though they're hydrogenating the CBD, to me that's more of a, and I have tried it, but to me it's more of a it's closer to being synthetic because you got to add acetone to it. That's just my opinion. You have any reactions to that?
Me, I don't. I don't know much about HHC, so I don't have any comments
And
on that.
that's the thing. So that's the thing about it, is that it's over 150, maybe more cannabinoids that can be found, right? So
Yeah,
that I call it the miracle plant when you start to really do your research on it.
yeah.
What's the best strain for nerve pain? So again, I'm going to say daytime, nighttime. Like
Hmm.
you can take a
You can take
sativa, which
either
is for
one.
energy and focus,
Hmm.
and it's going to help you with pain. And you can also take an indica, and it's going to help you with pain. Both can help you with pain. It's one is going to make you feel like watching Netflix, right, and
Yeah,
falling asleep, and the other one is going to make you be like, let me go write this dissertation that I've been putting off, right? So that's the difference. And
yeah, no.
also, as Nicole said, if you want to incorporate delta 8 with that CBD, with that strain, just know that Delta 8 can, like she said, make you forget about your pain. So make sure that wherever's causing you pain, it's nothing that you can injure further before you start taking it.
Yeah, and Delta 8 has shown more relief for nerve pain. CBD is super great for more anti-inflammatory pain. So your Delta 8 would probably be that go-to for nerve pain, for like diabetic pain, diabetic neuropathy pain would be your Delta 8 strain.
Is CBD vape bad for your lungs? So I'm going to give my take, and then you can give your medical opinion. So in order to activate the ingredients in the hemp plant, right, is that even Delta 9 or Delta 8, in order to activate the THC ingredients, is that you have to apply heat, right? This is why people smoke it. This is why if you cook with it, you got to, people like to add butter or whatever. You got to heat it up to activate that ingredient. So whenever you're burning something, it's going to irritate your lungs. So when I smoke the flower, you got to imagine how hot that blunt is or that joint is that I'm smoking, right? And so that's going to aggravate your lungs. Even though there's no, at least I don't use tobacco products, you still irritating your lungs, so it's not great for the lungs. Vaping, it does heat it up, but it heats it up at a lower temperature, so it's not as hot, it's not as bad for the lungs. But just remember, make an adult decision, make an informed decision anytime you're smoking something is happening to your lungs. That's what my research have showed me. Miss Nicole.
I mean, absolutely. As a medical professional, I have to say that any form of smoking induced to the lungs is bad for your lungs. I mean, if we're going to compare it to other forms of smoking, if we're going to compare it to smoking a blunt, then or cigarette or cigar or tobacco wrapped anything, then vaping is going to be your better option. But if we're just saying vaping by itself is that bad for your lungs, then yes, any form of smoking, inhaling anything is not going to be great for your lung. But if you compare it to something, vaping would be your better option. But it's all, like Donald said, it's not going to be,
Yeah,
great for
yeah.
your
I
lungs.
mean, you got to think about it. Like whenever you blowing that smoke out, you know what that is? The stuff that your body could not consume. Like guys, whenever we put something in our body, if it don't come out, that's our body rejecting or a byproduct of whatever. Like the body takes what it needs. Whenever it doesn't need, it have mechanisms in there, whether it's your liver or whatever, your kidneys or whatever, to discard whatever it doesn't need. So again, make an informed decision. She is totally right. Vaping is the less of two evils. Compared to other like tobacco products, yeah, it's the less of two evils. But just consider your lifestyle, and like I say, have a talk with your primary.
Right, it's an
So
informed decision that you choose to make.
let's see right here. So that's my cousin. Go ahead, girl. I'm so excited and happy for you. You want to respond to that, Miss Nicole? You know you got to shout back out, or they gonna be like, "Oh, you bougie."
I'm not. I'm gonna get you.
Hey guys, do y'all have any more questions? So I know like some people, even besides THC, Delta 8, CBD, Delta 9, um, sometimes people really don't have, especially in the Black community. We had this conversation earlier today, on mental health. When somebody come home from work and they say, "Look, I had a bad day," that can be nothing or that can be something, right? And
Right.
so one of the things, and especially in African American community, well, men in general also, is that we don't take enough care of ourselves. But as it relates to mental health, um, I'm assuming this me making an assumption is that if you tell somebody, like, and I tell somebody, look, I'm taking CBD products because of my shoulder, and plus I had to talk with my primary, and then I give them my research or whatever. After a while, they start to understand it, even if they don't, agree with it. They start to understand it because of the taboo associated with it. But if you tell somebody that you're taking CBD products for anxiety, they might look at you, oh, you're a junkie, or you just like that feeling. But that mental health is really, and I guess I want to dedicate the next couple of minutes of the show to mental health. whatever you need to take to get it right. And you told me this today, and I've been saying this for years, but it's been a while since I said it. You said mental health is simply a chemical imbalance in the brain. That's it.
That's
Like,
it. You know, it's such a huge stigma, especially amongst, you know, minorities. We were always taught to be tough and to straighten up. There's nothing wrong with you. Stop talking about you feel sad, or you're not in a good mood, or, you know, whatever it may be. It's like, poke your chest out, hold your head up, toughen up, stop talking like that. You know, you're being weak. You know, we are always taught to hold that type of thing in, when it's a simple chemical imbalance. You have, you know, neurons, that's and receptors, and you know, chemicals in your brain, things like that, that's just not connecting. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like having high blood pressure, having diabetes, having a disorder that
it's
you
a
need
disease.
medication for. Yeah, you can't make your receptors connect. You can't. You can't say, come on, receptors, connect. It's not going to happen. You need medication for that. And you know, we as minorities, period, and not just minorities, people in general, we need to know that it's okay to be depressed, because we can't help that. That's just a chemical imbalance. It's a disease process. It's okay to get help. And then, you know, it's like with CBD, versus, you know, taking other antidepressants. Sometimes if you want to try CBD first, you know, people are more receptive to taking a gummy, or, you know, smoking a vape, if that's what you choose to do, to try and treat that, because you feel like, okay, I'm not in here taking antidepressants. Nobody's going to know I'm taking an antidepressant. I'm just popping a gummy, or smoking, you know, a vape, or dropping a couple drops of CBD. So some people feel more comfortable treating their antidepressant, I'm sorry, treating their depression or anxiety that way. They feel, you know, more accepted that way, because it's like everybody else is vaping, or everybody else is taking gummies. So I feel accepted, you know, but in the same breath, they're at least you're treating your mental health. You know, I
Yeah.
kind of look at it that way, you know.
I mentioned
So
this to you, and I don't, you know, I mentioned this to you earlier, is that the discussion about Will Smith and Chris Rock and stuff, and regardless of what team you on or whatever, and I know I made my share of jokes, right? But the reality of it, all joking aside, is that you know, you can say, hey, look, he was defending his wife. You can say that, but for me, when he went back to the seat and he started yelling back, I say he's not well. You know,
yeah,
when he went
I
back to
saw
the city
that
and started yelling
disconjugate
back, I say
gaze.
he's not well.
Yeah, I looked in that man's eyes. I looked at that disconjugate gaze. I said, "Oh yeah, he might need just a little attention." You
Yeah.
know, he seemed like he had a little mental health break, but you know, not making excuses. You know, we don't know what he was going through. It's hard to tell, but it did look like he was suffering. He was definitely suffering from something there. But I wanted to go back to the mental health part real quick, um, because that is definitely near and dear to me. Mental health and opioids. Uh, Last year, we lost like a really, really important person. His name Michael Lassiter. He suffered from mental health and opioids. He actually had took a opioid pill that was laced. He was trying to treat his pain. Um, uh, we were also treating him. He was getting ketamine for his mental health. He was doing good. Took a pill for his pain that ended up being laced with fentanyl, and he died. He had no idea, and I wish that he known about, you know, THC or um, CBD. Didn't get a chance to tell him about it. Young man, feel like it would have definitely saved his life. But me and his family, which is one of my best friends, we created a foundation for him, and we're still working on it because, like I said, he recently passed, so it's fairly new. It's called the Michael J. Lassiter Foundation, but it's still fairly new. But super passionate about that, so we're definitely, you know, wanting to, you know, keep that alive, and because he's a perfect example of opioid crisis, mental health, this whole segment, with what's going on with why people should take alternatives, why people should treat their mental health, why it's important to let people know what's going on and treat it, even if it's with CBD, THC, whatever the case, just get help,
Yeah.
So
Sorry for the loss. I know
thank you.
losing people is never easy, especially if there's alternatives, right?
Right.
I think like you probably can answer this question better to me than me. Excuse me. You probably can answer this question better than me. So tell me this: when do they resort to CBD or ketamine, or does it surpass the average pain management clinic? Is it a better method to help patients?
Yeah,
So
I think CBD and ketamine should be first before pain management. Definitely. I think those should be your first options. And you can always do those in conjunction with each other. And pain management should be your last resort, because if you can manage your pain with something that's not an opioid, that's always your best option. You always want to treat your pain with the lowest effective method first and wait to
so
bring out the big dogs. Yeah.
so the question is, I'm researching using mushrooms for anxiety. So what would you tell? Is it Lil old head?
Mm.
I'm
Little old
researching,
head. Yeah.
yeah, researching using mushrooms for anxiety. I absolutely don't know anything about mushrooms or whatever
Well,
those
that's
their effects.
well, lucky you, because that's my playground. That's what that's when, and I'm sure he knows that because I'm speaking about ketamine. So, um, I mean, yeah, mushrooms are good for anxiety and depression. Again, you always want to speak to your primary care. This is educational purposes only. But if you're doing like um, psilocybin, you're a micro dosing, yeah, but you don't want to go taking shrooms like, from back in the day. You want to microdose. Some people do take shrooms and they feel like, it works great for them because they get the psychedelic feeling. It kind of works similar with as ketamine as far as creating those new pathways and creating those new connections. And when I say creating new pathways, um, I'm meaning when you're depressed, your brain is connecting in the same way every day. I like to look at it as if you're taking the same route home every day, this is the way you know how to go home. This is the way you know this route by heart. It doesn't matter if there's traffic, it doesn't matter if the street is blocked off. This is the only way you know home. This is how depression is. With ketamine and things like mushrooms, when it creates a new pathway by a process called neuroplasticity, it's like a GPS system. It creates a new way. It's like, hey, turn left here, turn right here. And it allows you to take a shortcut home, a different route home. And you're like, wow, I didn't even know this way existed. So now your eyes are open to new ways home or new ways to live, new ways to see life. So now you're more receptive to life. You're more receptive to things instead of every day you wake up feeling sad. Every day I take this route home because this is all I know. Now you have new ways to see things. And that's kind of how mushrooms and ketamine
Uh,
work by creating those new ways of
so
looking
I
at
would
life.
assume that mushrooms are similar. I mean, not similar, but probably have the same rules as I hate to use the word rules. As I mentioned earlier, like there's different doses of CBD, different doses of Delta 8, there's different cannabinoids. I'm assuming there's different mushrooms that do different things.
Yeah.
Or is the same mushrooms that Mike Tyson take a handful of and then lick a frog?
It'll be the microdosing psilocybin mushrooms is usually the same type of mushrooms. I don't know if there's different strands yet. I don't know because they're not legal here in Arizona, so I don't
Okay.
know a whole bunch about. I don't know a whole bunch about the actual, types
Difference.
of mushrooms. Yeah, so I can't speak on that right now. I can just say, just as a whole, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, so
There's
don't go out in your backyard and start picking up mushrooms, guys.
right,
Don't do
right.
that. um,
Mm-mm.
how you doing,
They're not
CBD?
even
Got
legal
you?
right now.
Yeah. How you doing, CBD? D got you. You make me wanna to try mushrooms.
Disclaimer. I already told you, don't do me. Nope, nope, nope. Mm-mm.
so, so
Don't do drugs.
what the licking a frog? Yeah, that Mike Tyson or something. I remember he was talking about mushroom. Look, guys, you those that's on my YouTube channel. See, this is new for my Facebook. See, my Facebook people, they get the preacher, they get the jokester or whatever. YouTube, man, bro, they get the researcher, they get the preacher sometimes, they get the joker. Like YouTube, man, they really have come a long way with me. So James, that's some type of frog that you can lick that give you like some type of psychoactive effects and stuff like that. So that's what I meant. Mike Tyson's actually, they actually even sell, like, I guess it's the secretion from the frogs. They actually even sell that. So Mike Tyson, that's what he was doing with licking a frog and stuff like that. So guys, yeah, man, that's a lot of information she shared. Looking like she had to step out right quick, but that's a lot of information she shared with us just now. Let me see. We got a couple more minutes of the show, guys. Look, go ahead and get your questions in because we will not be on here much longer. Yes, thank you. I had some mushroom tea, and I know there's a good difference for a few months, and I became more interested. Thank you again. Thank you for your comment. So, anyone else have any comment? Any questions? We'll go ahead and answer those comments and questions now. If you guys have any comments or questions, or I should say, go ahead and get your comment and questions in now. When she get back, we'll go ahead and answer them. So the recap right quick. The purpose of this live show was just to share my personal journey, but also to educate you guys from a medical point, from a scientific point, the benefits of CBD, the benefits of the products that 4King CBD have to sell. Now, if you are in the Thibodeau area, I know right now my people from YouTube gonna be like, Tech, give me the website. Let me explain. It's federal legal. CBD in Delta 8 is federal legal, but there are I want to say there's 8 or 13 states that have banned Delta 8. So make sure you go ahead and do a search about your state and see if Delta 8 is banned. But I think it's like 8 or 13 states that is banned in. In Louisiana, it's legal, but Louisiana have like, for example, the flowers, the people that sell flowers in Louisiana, they sell them as incense because Louisiana have like a law that say you can't sell like vapes. Anybody can't consume it through vaping or smoking it. I think that's about to be changed pretty soon. But the shops and stuff around here, they get around that by selling it as incense or whatever. And grown folks get home, they do what they gonna do. All right. But again, just share my personal story, the benefits that I noticed, and just listening to Miss Nicole just break it down as a diabetic, who numbers dropped dramatically. I couldn't figure it out, but how she broke it down of how the products that is being used can impact and bring your body back into balance. Again, have a talk with your primary physician. So let's see, any more questions? So I have a common pain on the back or whatever body part. Would you recommend taking CBD, shrooms, or ketamine?
I would say start out with CBD for sure. Yeah, you always want to start out with the lowest pain reliever first, lowest effective dose, because you always want to start with the lowest thing so you have that backup. So okay, this isn't working anymore. Next step. So you would be like, okay, let's do CBD, let's try Delta. let's try it. Then you want to move up, you know. So that's how I would do it.
So does 9-THC CBD actually work?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. 100. I stand behind that. I definitely stand behind it.
Can it be tested on a drug test? So let me answer that. So
Mhm.
you have, like, for right now, y'all seen what she went. I don't want to put her on the spot, but CBD got you. She's the daughter of one of my longtime subscribers, right? And so when I actually started talking about CBD products, she's like, "Look, my daughter in California, she actually sell it." And so we have the products we have now is CBD, but they have THC Delta 8. Now, when you take a drug test, they're not testing for Delta 8, Delta 9. They're testing for the metabolite THC. So depending on how sophisticated, and I'm guessing the test is, they won't be able to extrapolate Delta 8 or Delta 9. It's going to give them a false positive. But like CBD got you, have some 9-THC gummies and stuff like that. So there are products out there without any, it's THC free, that you can use and you can get some of the similar benefits. So what is I'm pronouncing it wrong, correctly, creatine? Have you heard of that? Or is that
I
quarantine?
haven't.
So my research is that it's the leaf, all right, and I think it's primarily, I think it's, you have like red strange, I think it's called like red vine, and it's another name for the other kind. It's like two, right? So I guess it's like upper, and I guess it's like downer. I haven't really done like tons of research, but I have come across kratom doing my research of Delta 8 products, and basically it is a milder form of an opioid. So it plays on the opioid receptors, and that's as much information as I have about it now. If it's safe or whatever, I know you can get it at a lot of gas stations and stuff, a lot of vape shops and all of that sell it. But my research pointed me to the direction that's more for people that's trying to get over opioid addiction. So one or two more questions, we're gonna let Miss Nicole go. If your patient is in a panic and needs to be rushed to the ER, and they're being placed in a room while in the process of being IV, when is the best time to communicate with that patient to calm them?
Okay, let me try to understand that again.
Unpack it.
Okay, okay. So if your patient is in a panic and needs to be rushed to the ER and they're being placed in a room while in the process of being IV, when is the best time to communicate with that patient to calm them? I mean, you should always try to calm them as soon as possible. It's always best to calm them from the moment they're freaking out, like always, because it's not like a perfect time. It's when the moment you're freaking out is the moment I'm trying to calm you.
It's been my experience is that whenever I've been admitted to the doctor, those of you that follow me, that I wrote a book in when I was in the gas fire in 2006, 2005. I was in the gas fire,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I just remember showing up to the hospital, right, and not knowing, what if I was gonna have a face. Like my face, my whole face was burnt off. Nicole, you know the story. Um,
Mhm.
what worked? The thing that worked better for me during that time in my life was the nurse or the doctor or whoever was talking to me when they began to explain to me what they was going to do and why they was going to do it before doing it, right? uh that that helped me. I know everyone is different. I'm the type of person, um I consider myself to be very, driven, data driven, analytic, and the more information you give me, the better I feel. Right? It's
Yeah.
like, let me know if I got a 1% chance. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, let
Yeah.
me
And
let
it's
me
just
prepare. Dear
best to
God,
stay
I'm sorry
calm.
for what I said earlier. Like, let me prepare. So
Yeah. And it's best to stay calm. I was told I'm too calm. And I always tell my patients, look, don't freak out. If I'm not freaking out, then you don't freak out. The
all
moment
right.
I freak out, it's time to panic. It's go time. When you see me freaking out, we're in trouble. Yeah.
Well, Nicole, we have been on for an hour and 30 minutes. I know your time is valuable. Man, I would love to do this again. I know that you are incredibly busy, but I would love to do it again, man. Hey
Yeah.
y'all, I might ask if she can come on every month, once a month, or maybe every 2 months. I'm gonna put a bug in her ear. We're gonna see how they go. Because
Okay.
we're talking about CBD today, but I really all jokes aside, I'm really considering having a
Ketamine talk, a mushroom talk. It sounds like
having a
your
segment, and not
subscribers
just
are
ketamine, but
interested in
having
that.
more talk about mental health. Though I really
Yeah.
want to. Uh, I'm trying to say
Yeah.
this. I'm trying to find the words to say where my fellow clergymen won't go back and misconstrue my words, right? So I'm just gonna say it like this, and if I'm misunderstood, then I ask for forgiveness later. Just because you love the Lord doesn't mean you don't go through anything, and it do not mean that you shouldn't seek medical help. And I'm not just talking about if you have a broken arm. I'm talking about if you have a broken spirit or a broken mind, right?
Right.
Like in the book of Revelation. Now I'm my one and only time put my preacher hat on. The book of Revelation, it talks about the New Jerusalem, and it talks about a particular tree in the New Jerusalem, and it say that the fruits would be for what? The fruits would be for the people, but the leaves is for the healing of the nation, right? It's for the healing of the land. And so I interpret that as is that even in the New Jerusalem, what Christians consider our Mecca, after Jesus come back, the New Jerusalem come down from heaven, that's our Mecca. That's still medicine, that's still things there to heal us. And so talk to your primary physicians, make sure that you're taking care of your health. I'm gonna try to get her back on as much and as often as possible, because we need to have deeper conversation than just treating, right? We need to have a conversation about diagnosing.
Yeah.
And
We
even
need
though
to
you can't
open a
diagnose somebody
dialect.
through a show, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying we need to just open a dialect about mental health so people understand that it's a safe space and it's okay. Okay to not feel okay. It's okay. It's okay to talk about it. Like, we're human. It happens. I mean,
And the thing that you said that I love the best, and you're about to end, guys. Yeah, I know I'm a preacher. I gotta have 6 endings. The thing that you say that I love the best is that it's not your fault. You can't make those
you can't
passages.
do anything about
There's
it.
no, you can't make those things connect like they should connect. Like the Bible speaks. Oh, there I go again. So you can't make those things connect. When the Bible speaks about generational curses, that means that we have seen and witnessed things in our communities that most people have not seen, have not witnessed. When we take pride, Black people, and I'm not trying to exclude anybody else from the live or watching on the replay, and Black people and low income people, period. We take it as a badge of honor about making it or coping with poverty. That's not normal. you know
Hmm.
like, yeah, I remember when we was young, you remember we had to eat cereal with a fork and water. Like that's like that's not, no, that does something to you over time.
It can cause PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. It really can, because
Yeah.
you'll see a fork and feel a way about that fork and not even realize why do I have this thing with that fork? Why?
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's because you had to use a fork to eat everything in your house. You
Yeah.
got a way, you feel a way about forks,
Come on, preach
or
now.
you wonder why you still hiding snacks and you 30 years old. And it's like, it's just you. Why you still hiding snacks? Because you had 6 brothers, 7 sisters, whatever the case. And that was the only way you was able to really eat your food, because you had
Mm.
to sneak and hide. But now you find yourself still hiding snacks as a grown woman or man, because it's a form of
You 55
traumatic
years old
stress.
and you got chips and drinks underneath your bed.
You still putting those fruit snacks up. Why you doing that? Why
In the
are you not?
3,600 square foot mansion almost.
You still up there talking about that's the last Oreo. Yeah, that's a
But
form
yeah,
of,
yeah. So we got to get you back on. So can I get you to commit in front of Facebook and YouTube that you're going to come back
if
on soon? I can't
if
tell you guys how often
if they'll
because
have me,
he's
if you
busy.
guys will have me, if you
Oh,
guys will
you know
have
we
me.
gonna have they don't have a choice. We gonna have you.
Okay.
We gonna have you back.
Okay. I think it's muted. I think the camera, I can't hear anything.
Nicole just up there like, what happened? Hey, I'm gonna hit you back. Hey, guys, that's the beauty of going live. I apologize. we gonna have her back, guys. We're gonna have her back. The last thing I would say, as it relates to the future mental health conversation, is that I look at myself and I look at spiritually, because that's what helped me, right? Spiritually, I look at the things that I had to overcome, and I'm not unique as an African American male that was born in poverty, right? And just had great parents that was able to pull us out of that situation, right? To raise us, to make sure that we pursue a better future. Um, some of the closest people I grew up with is in jail for murder or dead. Like that does something to a person over time. Like I look at my kids today, and now that they're older, some of them older in college, and they they still have like the same high school friends and stuff. Like I'm like, man, like a lot of people I ran with is dead in jail. Like I don't have those homeboys that come over and chill. Like they gone. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not unique. I just feel like we need a more in-depth conversation. I think you're the person for it.
Okay. Well, it was wonderful. I had a great time, and we'll figure out the next time. And I'll leave my clinic information for you people that are interested in
Go ahead,
learning
give it
more
to them.
about
Give it to them,
ketamine.
girl. Give it to them.
It's Opulent Care. Telephone number. I'm in Arizona, 623-267-6969, or you can look me up,
Say it again.
www.
623.
623-267-6969. Just opened up, so my website we're still cooking it, but you can still get information. It's www.opulentcareaz.com. And then
Awesome.
remember my foundation, our foundation, Michael J. Lassiter, and that's Lassiter Foundation, and that's for mental health and opioid abuse. So
Thank you for
thank you
sharing information.
guys. Thank you for having me.
Look, I'm telling all my family members right now, if you
Oh,
don't
wait,
love me like this,
I
I
got
don't
one
need you.
more. I got one more.
Where?
Got one more transportation system, active adult daily services. And we can transfer you after you had your THC and you need to be transported because you can't drive. Active adult daily services. That's another one. So,
You on
and
the
you can,
roll, huh?
I'm just saying. Yep,
Awesome.
623-213-9979. And there you go.
So this is the number right here, right? 623-2676-969. That's it.
Yep. That's the number to my
Yeah,
clinic.
y'all go ahead and call that number,
Yep.
and
If you
she'll
have any
get you
questions or
better.
anything like that. Okay.
So,
Thank you guys.
awesome, guys. Thank you guys for coming out. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful night. Those that's watching on Facebook, just inbox one of our kings if you need more information. I always tag our kings: Alan Alexandra, Wayne Henderson, and Damian Martin. So tag one of the kings. We're 4 kings, guys, and we're just trying to make a difference in our community. And we're gonna have this conversation about mental health in the Black community, and we just got to set it up. So thank you guys. You be blessed. Bye.